Welcome, BowHunterPlanet. We actually started the business, my dad did, in 1966, and the first 35 years or so we produced a lot of precision components for the medical industry, for the credit card embossing segment. Did a lot of precision machining, and even here we're in Michigan, and we did do some automotive. So that was really our start and our foundation of doing precision machining. And since I became an archer at a young age, I'm kind of the first generation hunter. I kind of self-taught myself with some friends. Had a love for hunting and archery. In 2000, we started to produce here at this plant some of our own patented products, and they were broadheads. But it did start with the foundation and the roots of the company and real high precision components for some pretty demanding fields out there, and that's reflected, I think, in some of our products. So I think today, though, we'd like to talk about and like to try to illustrate and show you some of the people here and some of the structure that has to be in place in order for this place to run. And this generally means having good people that are very passionate, as we are, about the products that we make. We're here in Memphis, Michigan. This is where G5 has one of the 3 buildings. And this is our main manufacturing place that manufactures a lot of the metal components. This is our front office here, and come on in and we'll start the tour. Like I said, here in Memphis, Michigan. This building in the center of town, right in the mecca of archery, we like to call it. This particular building does a lot of our manufacturing, our metal manufacturing. So in the back we have probably 40 pieces of CNC equipment, from CNC mills, CNC turning centers, real precision grinders, our quality department. But a lot of the products that are the G5 products actually start here, and in terms of the raw material. And then once they're machined, they go to a different building for decorating and for assembly. One of the things that's going on right now is we have a manager's stand-up meeting, and we have a stand-up meeting so that there's a emphasis on trying to be quick and to the point and get to those issues as quickly as we can. And present, we have the head of our quality control department. We have our sales manager, Nate and Matt, who's the owners of the company, with myself, and then we have our CFO and our production manager, and they're talking about the daily events. And again, this is our daily stand-up meeting for our managers. This is one of the areas of our company, and this is actually at the end of the process, where a lot of the broadheads are machined and they're sent out for heat treatment. They're brought in, and we like to call this area where our soccer moms, because a lot of the ladies that work here, part of our department, and have for years, assemble not only broadheads, they do packaging, they assemble sights, and they finish the packaging, put on in certain size boxes for our dealers and our distributors, and then they're taken over to the finished goods area. We've been producing sights for the archery industry for about 6 years now. We have a top-end magnesium sight, and then we have a little less expensive rock sight that we produce here at the plant. Just about every site needs a way of lighting the fiber optics, and that's what this lady here is doing. She's actually packaging our own specially designed flashlight that people can buy and mount on the site. One of the things that we've been doing here for about 40 years is we've been producing products for the medical industry, and that's what
these ladies here are doing are performing some of the functions on medical instruments. These are surgical rotating tools. This cell right here is one of the cells that actually do the sharpening of the Montex. We have 3 different machines that are producing 2 parts at a time, and these machines work pretty much all year long. 2 shifts every day, all year long, producing one of our flagships broadhead is the Montec. So what the ladies are doing is they're mounting a broadhead on a stem, and then at this point they're actually putting them in the machine, and they're honing the edges so that for sharpness. So after they're honed, they're checked for sharpness, and what we do there actually is, how do you measure sharpness? Is we use the Fred Bear method, which is to take a rubber band and stretch it, and with one stroke down it has to cut that rubber band. Before the part is actually sharpened, it's actually mounted on a stem, and then it's put into this fixture, and then it's rotated. And then when we rotate it, we actually can look into the shadow graph, and they can determine whether the head is rotating correctly, and if it's not, then it can be straightened. So when we say that every single broadhead is spin tested, this is what we mean. Every single broadhead goes through this step before it actually goes into a machine for sharpening. One of these machines here, we have 7 of these machines. These are multiple axis Swiss screw machines. They're very precise, and one day they might be doing surgical burrs and bone rasp. The next day, such as this part here, this is a component. It's a firing pin for a gun. But the very next day we can set it up, and we're actually producing our own G5 components, maybe components for our sight. It might be our magnesium peeps, or maybe our new titanium peeps that we have on the market now. So these same machines are very versatile, and we've been producing and using these kind of machines for well over 20 years. This is Susie. It's our daughter. She is actually G5 in the lineage, and she works for marketing. One of the things that people don't realize is this is very much a family business, and the G5 comes in within the fact that I have 5 kids. You just saw G5. It's our daughter, and I have 2 daughters and 3 sons, and they get a little upset with me sometimes when I use the terms G1 through G5, but people can relate to that. But it is a family-owned business. One of the things that we were trying to show here actually is how we make the cams. This is some of our fixturing that goes into building a cam. This is kind of a before and after. The cam is actually made out of a solid wrought aluminum, and that's where it comes out of. And this is the machines that are being built in here. And it was kind of funny. We were going to try to show you and stop the machine so we could actually show you being machined, but the problem is that it takes about an hour to actually machine a set of cams. So we'll have to wait until the cycle stops before you can actually see inside. This cell here is a cell that is doing machining of our forgings. One thing that we're known for is that we use only forgings in our bows. There are other ways of doing it, wrought aluminum out of solid, extrusions, but for the most part all of our bows, our Quest line and our Prime line are from solid forgings, and the forgings actually offer many advantages in terms of strength. There are forgings, and then there's very, very large forgings. This is the size of a Prime 7000 series forging. Really what it starts out, looking like. And we actually, this is pretty heavy, this is about 11 pounds, and we actually machine that down to about 2 pounds. So out of this 11-pound forging, we end up with only 2 pounds after we're done machining it. But this is one of the key quality functions of why the prime bow is so accurate, is that we're using a 7000 series aluminum forging as a foundation for the accuracy of that bow. Again, from an 11-pound forging, we end up machining about 9 pounds of that away, and it ends up being chips. So we do produce an awful lot of chips. These chips are recycled. For every riser that we machine, we call this a fluff and buff station, where he's actually knocking off the sharp edges and smoothing out before we actually do some final finishing in a tumbler. What this cell does is that we do all of our own machining, our design work, and the machining of our limbs. And it's somewhat of a specialized system, because we're machining something that's not metal. This is very much a composite material, and it takes special tools, special fixturing, but we think it's really important that we actually have control over the process of our limbs when we design the limbs. We do our own machining here just to be able to make sure that the axle holes and the bearings that go into the cam and the limb system are very square and perpendicular. The gauging and the very special machining and testing of the limbs are done in this cell right here. A typical composite limb material that's produced, and this particular limb has one layer of special 45 or 90 degree wefting that's on the limb, and out of this particular limb, blank will actually machine this limb out of it. So the profile of the limb, the drilling of the holes, the drilling of the axle holes, that's all done under very tight conditions, very tight precision quality control, to be able to make sure that the top and the bottom limbs match, and that every bow, when it gets assembled, is within about 3 pounds of that weight of that particular bow. One of the other things is this is a quality plan that goes with that limb. These are all the different dimensions that the operators have to follow in order for us to be confident and that the limbs are manufactured correctly. So for every blueprint, there is a quality plan that states all the critical dimensions that have to be checked in order for us to be able to produce a top quality limb. This is a tumbling area where we're actually taking a lot of our products, including limbs that are tumbled, so that we put an appropriate radius on the edges of the limbs. What Karen is doing here is that after a riser is actually machined and tumbled, she's putting it on a test plate, a surface plate, and she's checking to make sure that there's no bow or twist in the bow, and then she's recording the data. So every single riser, after we machine it and tumble it, then we do a final check to make sure that it's within tolerance. One of the things that we're known for in terms of our manufacturing is that we have our own tool room in-house, and that tool room is really critical because a lot of the fixtures that we use for checking the deflection on a limb, say, or straightening risers, those are all specially built fixtures and machines, and our tool room builds all that for us. So that we're very fortunate that we have some very good machinists and tool builders that build the gauges, our tools, our fixtures, our machines, and it's a really important part of our business, and we're really fortunate that we have that ability if we need a machine and we can't find one that we exactly want, we'll just build that machine. So that's what you'll see now is a bit of our tool room that again builds gauges, builds special tools, work holding. We are fortunate that we have all of that in-house to where we can control what's happening on the manufacturing floor. This particular machine has got 8 places with it, and we machine on one side and off of a blank, and then it's flipped over to be able to machine on the back side. So this is Donna. She's one of our machine operators, and this will be proof to Donna's husband that she doesn't goof off all day long. She's actually producing product for us, right? The thing that's interesting is that in order to take a solid aluminum blank like this and to make a cap, and this is actually half of the cam that comes out of, it takes 56 minutes of machine time on here just to make one cam. So there's a lot of machining in this, and you probably saw a little bit earlier all the chips, and that's because out of a solid block of aluminum we have to machine that cam out of that aluminum blade. This particular machine is one of the machines that are building cams, and as it says, there's a holder for 40 different tools, but these are all the different tools that are rotating into a CNC machine mill, and these are all, many of the tools that go along with it takes to actually machine a cam. An archery product. This is actually for a gun manufacturer, but what it is, out of a solid piece of steel, we're actually making the rib on top of a shotgun. And again, that rib for a ribbed shotgun comes out of that solid piece of steel. One of the reasons why we do this is that this is a problem part for our customer. And generally, that's one of the themes and strategies of our company. If a company is having problems figuring out how to produce a product to the needed quality, come and see us, because we'll usually be able to figure out how to make good parts. And well, one of the things that we do here at Grace Engineering in G5 is to build special fixtures. And what Phil's going to show you here is a fixture that we had to build in order to be able to test the durability of a broadhead. And this weight that's up on this rod and the amount of momentum and force that the broadhead is actually mounted on the bottom, and it's going to be forced into a piece of plywood. What kind of speed, Phil, are we trying to mimic here?
We're simulating 320 feet per second.
Okay.
With that weight and that height. And
so you want to go ahead and actually show how we cycle.
It'll make some noise.
Yep. Okay, just simply put that amount of force with the broadhead on the bottom of it into a piece of plywood to show the durability of that particular head.
Actually, it broke right through. You can see at full penetration through half-inch plywood, and it survived rather nicely. And that is a Montec stainless steel.
Our stainless steel.
In addition to straight hits, obviously everybody's interested in quartering shots. We have angle blocks that we set this up at 30 degrees so we can simulate, you know, heavy angle hits.
But what we're going to go into next is our quality control department, where we're trying to control the environment a little bit. We're trying to control the air temperature for controlling tighter tolerances, and we have some specialized gauging in there. One of the things that my dad always taught us growing up is that you're only as good as you can measure. And so for a company our size, we have a lot of gauges. We have a lot of micrometers and calipers and optical comparators, CMM machines, special gauging that measures microfinish. But all of that to say that if you really want to know what's going on in manufacturing, you have to be able to measure it. So whether we're making strings for our bows, or whether we want to do a test to make sure that our broadhead is spinning correctly, you're only as good as you can measure. And that's one of the slogans that we use around the shop, and that actually came from my dad. So we're into the third generation now of that slogan, and one of the principles that we use for manufacturing G5 components. This is our quality control lab, and again we have some specialized gauging and equipment in here. For instance, this particular device measures microfinish, say the axle on a bow. The microfinish on that axle is quite important. So there's a little diamond right here, and that thing oscillates back and forth, and through this gauge it'll actually tell you exactly how smooth that metal is. Right. As part of the final audit, to make sure that the riser is to spec, checking for things like bow and twist on it. This is a ferro arm. It's a CMM machine, or coordinate measuring machine, and this is typically you know, some of the things that we have to do to verify that before the riser goes off to another building for decorating, that it's within tolerance. And with the prime, especially the prime bows, accuracy is extremely important. And so what this gauge does, it has a little probe on the end, and it actually can be touched off, and the computer will then tell Dave whether it's within tolerance.
Oh, awesome.
One of the things that we're really particularly proud of is our customer service department. But our service department is very important to us. We've got some good people in here, very technically minded. So when customers have any issues, have any questions about a product, how it's to be used, replacement parts, we have a good customer service department that they can call in and get their needs met.
Our second building, when the risers are machined in the other building, they're brought over here, and they're either sandblasted. Sometimes they're metal prepped for cleaning, and just before we actually do the painting and the decorating. One of the things that we do a little different than other bow companies is that we use powder coating as the main paint that's on the riser. And what that powder coating does is it gives a very durable surface. I'll guarantee you after 10 years of using that bow, you're not going to wear that paint off of that. So the powder coat is very durable. It also allows us to transfer the image or decorate. We don't use the hydrographic system here. We use a sublimation process, and by sublimating the camos, whether it'll be a Gore Optifade or a Realtree or Mossy Oak, that image is transferred directly into the powder coat paint. That's why it's so durable. And that image is not on the surface. It actually goes subsurface into the paint. But by powder coating, not only the riser, but also our limbs, you get a very good, durable surface that will hold up for years and years and years. After we paint the bow components, we actually are transferring the image. This is a Realtree image that we're putting onto the cam. And it starts off not as a hydrographic system at all, but it's actually sublimated. And it's actually, we do it actually in a fabric. The ink is actually transferred to the fabric, and then the component, whatever it is actually put into a sock. We draw a vacuum down on it and then put it in an oven and bake, and it actually transfers the image from the cloth material right into the product. One of the things that we're proud of too is that we make our own strings, and a string is really important that you don't get any stretch to make sure that when the cams roll over that they stay in time, as well as when you put in a peep, you want to make sure that that peep doesn't rotate on you. So we make our own strings for that reason. The things I want to show is not only do we do decorating for our own G5 products, but as a part of G5, we have a company called G-Deck, and these are all the different camos that we are decorating for other people. Our warehouse, this is where all our finished goods are stored. The product that gets produced in the other building, the broadheads, the sights, peeps, a lot of the other components, they all also get brought here. But this particular building is attached to our bow assembly, so obviously our bows get packaged and get shipped out of this particular warehouse. And like most companies, we also have an engineering department that is working on product for next year, and kind of like the sign says, we're not really allowed to be in there. They're working on the new patents, the new product for 2013 and beyond. But rest assured, our company has about 15 different patents and another dozen or so that are pending, and that's one of the things that keeps the company fresh, bringing good product, new and innovative product to our customers year after year. It's something that we put a lot of time and resources into, and I'd like to show you that area. But you'll be seeing that in new products as they come out for 2012 and beyond. So that really is the end of our tour. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned how much it takes, how many good people, trained people it takes to put a G5 product together, whether it's a broadhead, a peep, one of our bows. There's a lot of hands that touch that, and there's a lot of work and resources that go into producing the product that you enjoy, and we hope that those products make you much more successful when you're out in the field.